Hello, everyone. Welcome, dear channel followers. Today, we're not just discussing any pyramid. Oh no, we're taking a deep dive into the pyramid of Neferirkare. This isn't merely a pile of ancient stones. It's a perplexing enigma, a complete saga of mystery we're still unearthing, and a testament to a period when profound transformations swept across ancient Egypt. Prepare yourselves for an in-depth journey, because what we're about to reveal will reshape your understanding of the pharaohs entirely. The Pyramid of Neferirkare, historically known in ancient Egyptian as Ba Neferirkare, meaning the soul of Neferirkare, stands as an absolutely unparalleled architectural marvel. Pharaoh Neferirkare Kakai of the 5th dynasty constructed it in the 25th century BC. Can you believe that? This pyramid remains the tallest structure at the highest elevation within the Abusir necropolis, nestled between Giza and Saqqara, and continues to dominate the archaeological landscape there to this day. This pyramid represents more than just a colossal edifice. It marks a pivotal turning point in the annals of ancient Egyptian architecture. It symbolizes a significant transition from the massive, expertly crafted pyramids of the 4th dynasty, think of the Giza pyramids, to more modest structures in subsequent eras. However, the crucial point here is that these later pyramids increasingly emphasized elaborate religious complexes surrounding the pyramid itself, rather than just its sheer magnitude. This shift in construction priorities, from pure material grandeur to a growing focus on religious intricacy and administrative details, signifies a profound evolution in the relationship between the pharaoh, the state, and the religious beliefs of that epoch. While earlier pyramids showcased absolute royal power through their immense scale and superior construction quality, the 5th dynasty pyramids, including Neferirkare's, began to feature more ornate funerary complexes and intricate cult practices. This architectural evolution can be interpreted as a response to evolving economic and political challenges. Perhaps resources were redirected toward bolstering the spiritual and administrative aspects of kingship, instead of solely investing in colossal physical structures. Abusir served as a principal royal necropolis for the 5th dynasty, circa 2494 to 2345 BCE, situated approximately 15 miles southwest of Cairo on the west bank of the Nile. Its name, Abusir, originates from the ancient Egyptian Per-Usir, meaning House of Osiris, the ruler of the underworld. This remarkable archaeological site encompasses 14 pyramids, among them those of Sahure, Neferirkare, and Nusere-Ini. While the Abusir pyramids may not rival the splendor of Giza, Saqqara, or Dashur in terms of sheer size and quality, they provide an invaluable lens into the ancient Egyptian world, particularly due to the site's serene atmosphere and fewer crowds. The decision to choose Abusir as a new royal burial ground, distinct from Giza and Saqqara, wasn't merely based on practical considerations, like the Giza tombs being filled with distinguished dead. No, it held profound symbolic significance. This selection can be interpreted as a deliberate endeavor by the 5th dynasty to forge a new dynastic identity and a unique funerary landscape for themselves. This shift allowed them to underscore their strong connection to the sun god Ra, a connection strikingly evident in the construction of dedicated sun temples. By establishing a new funerary center aligned with the evolving religious ideology, the 5th dynasty pharaohs likely aimed to reinforce their legitimacy and distinguish themselves from their predecessors, especially during a period often characterized as a decline in royal power or a deteriorating economy. Thus, choosing Abusir wasn't simply a logistical decision, it was an integral part of a broader strategy to redefine kingship and cement its divine status amidst social and political change. Neferirkare Kakai was the 3rd pharaoh of the 5th dynasty, reigning from approximately 2475 to 2455 BCE. His rule marked a significant innovation in royal naming. He was the first monarch to incorporate his birth name, Kakai, into his formal titulary by adding a second cartouche, a practice that was adopted by subsequent pharaohs. His royal name, Neferirkare, signified "beautiful is the soul of Ra," reflecting his profound reverence for the sun god Ra, a spiritual inheritance from his father, Sahure. He also held other titles, including his Horus name, Userkau, powerful of manifestations, his golden Horus name, Sekemon, golden powerful one, and his Nebti name, Kaim-Nebti, appearing in the Nebti. Neferirkare's lineage has long been a subject of scholarly debate among Egyptologists. Initially, he was believed to be the son of Userkaf and Khentkaus I and the brother of his predecessor, Sahure. However, recent archaeological breakthroughs have completely revolutionized this understanding. In 2005, excavations in the causeway leading to Sahure's pyramid unearthed fragments of inscriptions that definitively established King Sahure as Neferirkare's father, and his mother was likely Queen Merit-Nebti. This advancement in comprehending Neferirkare's lineage perfectly illustrates the dynamic and constantly evolving nature of historical knowledge in Egyptology. New archaeological findings, such as these irrefutable inscriptions, continually refine and correct prior understandings, even those based on ancient king lists or preliminary academic interpretations. This underscores the empirical foundation of the field and the ongoing necessity to reevaluate historical data in light of fresh evidence. Neferirkare was married to Queen Khentkaus II, and together they had two sons who would later ascend to the throne as pharaohs, Neferefre, also known as Ranaref, and Niuserre-Ini. Regarding the duration of his reign, estimates vary. While the ancient Egyptian historian Manetho credits him with 20 years, some modern scholars, such as Miroslav Werner, express skepticism about this extended period given the unfinished state of his pyramid. The fifth dynasty was established by Pharaoh Userkaf, who reigned around 2465 to 2458 BCE. This dynasty ushered in a period marked by significant changes in ancient Egypt. Neferirkare was an integral part of this ruling lineage that designated Abusir as its primary royal burial ground. Among the notable successors who governed from Abusir, Sahure, Neferirkare's father, stands out prominently. Furthermore, Neferirkare's sons, Neferefre and Niuserre-Ini, became important pharaohs within this dynasty, continuing the tradition of constructing their funerary complexes in the same region. These close familial connections among the kings interred in Abusir underscore the site's critical importance as a dynastic center for the Fifth Dynasty. The Fifth Dynasty witnessed fundamental shifts in the political and religious landscape of ancient Egypt. While power in previous dynasties was heavily centralized in the hands of the pharaoh and his family in Memphis, the Fifth Dynasty began to confer unprecedented levels of authority and income upon high-ranking, mid-level, and even lower-level officials. This move towards administrative decentralization suggests an adaptation to emerging challenges, possibly linked to a delicate financial and political situation inherited by the Fifth Dynasty pharaohs from their predecessors. In parallel with this administrative change, the pharaoh's connection with the sun god Ra grew significantly. Most Fifth Dynasty kings adopted royal names that directly linked their authority to the supremacy of the sun god. Userkaf, the dynasty's founder, initiated the practice of building sun temples, complexes centered around obelisks dedicated to Ra, thereby solidifying the pharaoh's power with the sun god's sovereignty. The decentralization of power and the intensified focus on Ra worship are intimately interconnected phenomena. This evolution can be understood as a strategic adaptation by the Fifth Dynasty pharaohs to maintain stability and legitimacy during a period that may have experienced economic pressures and a decline in centralized authority. By delegating more power and income to officials, they likely secured the loyalty of the administrative elite, while simultaneously reinforcing their divine mandate through prominent solar worship. This effective shift in the foundation of their power, from grand material displays, like larger pyramids, to a more distributed administrative system bolstered by a strong religious connection, indicates a complex strategy to ensure the state's continuity under changing circumstances. Constructing smaller pyramids allowed resources to be reallocated for building more intricate and richly decorated funerary temples, reflecting a redirection of investment towards the spiritual and administrative aspects of kingship. Neferirkare's pyramid is located in the Abusir necropolis, a strategically significant area nestled between the Giza and Saqqara burial grounds. Upon its completion, this pyramid was intended to be the tallest structure at the highest point within the necropolis. It is believed that this site was chosen partly due to its close proximity to the administrative capital of the Old Kingdom, Memphis, which facilitated convenient access to necessary resources and labor. The strategic placement of Neferirkare's pyramid on the highest point in Abusir, despite the general decline in pyramid grandeur compared to those at Giza, reveals a persistent symbolic ambition. This suggests that even as economic and political realities shifted, pharaohs sought to visually assert their divine status and prominence within their chosen necropolis. They leveraged the natural elevation of the site as a substitute for the massive bulk that characterized the pyramids of earlier dynasties. This approach indicates a sophisticated understanding of symbolic representation and visual impact, where resource constraints were accommodated while preserving the core message of royal power. The pyramid, even in its current state, dominates its surroundings, emphasizing that site selection was an integral part of the king's strategy to leave an enduring mark on the funerary landscape.
Neferirkare's pyramid stands out as a remarkable architectural anomaly as it defied the prevailing traditions of the 5th dynasty. It was initially conceived as a step pyramid, a design that had become obsolete centuries after the 3rd dynasty. This unusual choice, reverting to an archaic architectural form, raises questions about the underlying motivations. Egyptologist Miroslav Werner suggests a potential link between this atypical decision and Neferirkare's inclusion in the Turin king list as a new dynasty founder, or perhaps there were deeper religious or political considerations. During its construction, the plan underwent a radical alteration to transform the step pyramid into a true pyramid with smooth sides, akin to the Great Pyramids at Giza. The structure was intended to be covered with a polished red granite casing. However, this casing was never completed, leaving the core structure exposed to this day. This design transformation from a step pyramid to a true pyramid indicates a complex interplay between conservative religious beliefs, evolving architectural trends, and possibly political or ideological motivations. The initial return to the step pyramid form could be interpreted as a deliberate symbolic link to the foundational, more pure or religious structures of the early Old Kingdom, such as Djoser's step pyramid. This might have been an attempt to legitimize a new dynasty, or to emphasize a return to ancient religious principles. However, the subsequent shift to a true pyramid demonstrates the powerful influence of the Giza models and the prevailing architectural aesthetic of that period. This architectural hesitation, or evolution within a single project, highlights a dynamic era where traditional religious symbolism, contemporary architectural norms, and political ambitions were all in flux, resulting in a hybrid and unique monumental construction.
The construction of Neferirkare's pyramid relied on readily available local resources. The limestone quarry located southwest of Abusir was utilized to provide the necessary stone blocks. This particular limestone was exceptionally easy to extract, as layers of gravel, sand, and clay separate it into thin sections ranging from 0.60 meters to 0.80 meters thick, making it simple to detach from the bedrock. Regarding construction techniques, Egyptologist Carl Richard Lepsius applied the theory of inclined accretion layers to the pyramids of the 5th and 6th dynasties based on his study of Neferirkare's pyramid. These techniques involved using large blocks of dark gray limestone for the pyramid's outer framework, while smaller blocks were used for the inner framework. The gaps between these two frameworks were filled with poorer quality limestone fragments, sometimes dry and sometimes set with clay and sand mortar. The pyramid's core structure was built in horizontal layers, and only the outer surface blocks were of high quality and meticulously joined, while the inner core sections were filled with rough, irregular stones of varying quality and sizes. The use of easily accessible, lower-quality local limestone for the pyramid's inner core contrasted with the planned, though incomplete, exterior casing of high-quality materials like red granite reflects a pragmatic adaptation to resource constraints. This indicates a strategic compromise, achieving the desired grand appearance through a superior outer layer, while economizing on the less visible internal structure. This approach highlights the economic pressures faced by the Fifth Dynasty and their ingenuity in maintaining the illusion of grandeur despite a deterioration in overall construction quality compared to earlier dynasties. The exterior facade was designed to project power and permanence, even if the internal reality was more practical and less resource-intensive.
Neferirkare's funerary complex was never fully completed, suggesting unforeseen circumstances that impacted the project. Its valley temple and associated causeway, essential components of the original design, were later appropriated and integrated into the complex of his successor, Nusara. As for Neferirkare's own mortuary temple, it was hastily constructed using less expensive materials, such as mud brick and wood. This temple is noteworthy for its extensive use of wooden columns, a relatively rare material in Egyptian temple construction. The temple was subsequently completed by his successors, including his wife Queen Khentgaus II and his sons Neferefre and Nusara. It's also worth noting that a cult pyramid, a standard feature in royal funerary complexes, was never built for Neferirkare's complex. Instead, it was replaced by a small mud brick settlement intended to house the priests who oversaw the king's funerary cult. The incomplete state of Neferirkare's complex, particularly the appropriation of his valley temple and causeway by Nusara, and the rushed construction of his mortuary temple with cheaper materials, strongly points to an emergency event, most likely the pharaoh's premature death. This highlights the immediate and practical consequences of a king's demise on large-scale state projects. Neferirkare's death led to compromises and adaptations by his successors to ensure the continuation of the funerary cult, albeit in a less grand fashion than originally planned. These circumstances offer a glimpse into the pragmatic aspects and inherent compromises involved in maintaining royal funerary traditions in ancient Egypt.
The Abusir Papyri are among the most significant archaeological discoveries, casting immense light on daily life and administration in the Old Kingdom. Over 300 fragments of these papyri were unearthed in Neferirkare's pyramid complex at Abusir. These ink-written documents represent the oldest known examples of hieratic script, a cursive form of hieroglyphs. The Abusir Papyri are considered the largest and most important collection of administrative documents ever found from the Old Kingdom to date. They offer incredibly detailed and unprecedented insights into how a royal funerary temple was managed. These details encompass priest duty rosters, inventories of temple equipment, records of daily offerings to the gods and the deceased king, as well as various correspondence and permits. These papyri were found in storage rooms located in the southwestern part of Neferirkare's complex. They have significantly contributed to Egyptology, not only by providing administrative information, but also by guiding subsequent archaeological discoveries, such as the finding of Neferirkare's son, Neferefre's pyramid complex. The Abusir Papyri, as the largest collection of administrative documents from the Old Kingdom, function as a Rosetta Stone for understanding the daily operational realities of the royal funerary cult. Their meticulous details on priest rosters, inventories, and offerings reveal a highly organized bureaucratic system supporting the pharaoh's afterlife, extending beyond mere monumental construction. This demonstrates the immense logistical and economic investment in the funerary cult, suggesting that the spiritual aspect of kingship required significant secular infrastructure and administration. This provides a granular insight into Old Kingdom society and administration. The continuous expansion of storage spaces in mortuary temples from Neferirkare's reign onwards, a result of administrative focus on the funerary cult, and an increase in the number of priests, officials, and their revenues, underscores this administrative complexity. To offer a more detailed perspective, the information gleaned from the Abusir Papyri can be categorized as follows. Priest duty rosters. These provided detailed information about the priests' tasks and their rotation within the temple, including their service times and roles.
This illuminated the daily routine and organization of the workforce in the mortuary temple, offering a glimpse into the professional lives of priests in the Old Kingdom. Inventories. These were meticulous records of temple equipment and possessions, such as stone vessels, tools, and materials used in rituals. They offered insights into the material resources dedicated to the cult and the evolution of storage spaces in funerary temples. Daily offering records. These were precise lists of offerings presented to the deceased pharaoh, including types of meat and other provisions. This revealed the economic system of the cult, the importance of offerings in ensuring the continuity of the king's afterlife, as well as details about the temple's dietary provisions. Correspondence and permits. These were administrative documents related to the temple's daily operations, such as official orders and directives. They demonstrated the complexity of the governmental bureaucracy in the Old Kingdom and how religious and administrative activities were organized. Finally, maintenance and inspection records. These detailed regular maintenance work and inspections of buildings and equipment within the funerary complex. They illustrated the care taken to preserve the funerary complex and ensure the continuation of the king's cult, and provided information on construction and maintenance techniques.
Beyond the Abusir Papyri, excavations within Neferirkare's pyramid complex have unearthed other valuable archaeological finds. Substantial remains of stone vessels, mostly broken or incomplete, were discovered in the mortuary temples of Sahure, Neferirkare, and Neferefre. These remains attest to the evolution of offering storage systems during that period. Additionally, inscriptions found in the mortuary temple depict vivid scenes of offerings and royal rituals, reinforcing Neferirkare's central role as a divine intermediary between the gods and his people. Another significant discovery was a limestone block found in the village of Abusir, believed to have originally come from Neferirkare's mortuary temple. This block depicts Pharaoh Neferirkare with his wife Queen Khentkaus II and their eldest son Neferefre, providing valuable information about royal family relations during this period. Furthermore, an embalmed mummy in linen wrapping dated to the 26th dynasty was found, along with an Aramaic inscription discovered by Egyptologist Ludwig Borchardt, suggesting the site's continued or reuse in later periods.
The internal design of Neferirkare's pyramid features a complex structure despite suffering significant damage over time. The entrance begins in the middle of the pyramid's north side, where a straight passage descends into a vestibule situated approximately 2.5 meters below the pyramid's base. At this point, visitors encounter a granite barrier. The passage extends past the barrier, taking 2 turns, then heads east, opening into an antechamber adjacent to the main burial chamber. The ceiling of the passage is unique, consisting of a flat ceiling topped by a second gabled ceiling made of limestone, and above that, a third layer of reeds. The ceilings of the burial chamber and antechamber were constructed with 3 gabled layers of limestone, a design aimed at distributing the weight from the superstructure to the sides of the passage, preventing collapse. Unfortunately, these chambers were heavily plundered by robbers over the centuries, leading to the removal of most of their limestone blocks, making their reconstruction currently impossible, although some architectural details can still be discerned. It's worth noting that some sources might suggest the presence of a complex network of tunnels beneath the pyramid. However, verifying such claims is crucial. Available information from reliable archaeological sources consistently describes a single, albeit complex, internal passage system leading to the burial chamber, not an extensive network of tunnels. This discrepancy emphasizes the importance of critically evaluating sources, especially those making sensational claims about hidden secrets, and prioritizing confirmed archaeological data. The true secrets often lie in the detailed administrative documents and architectural adaptations that reveal the complexities of ancient civilization rather than unconfirmed chambers.
The Westcar Papyrus, an ancient Egyptian text likely dating to Neferirkare's reign, offers a unique insight into the mythological origins of the 5th dynasty.
This papyrus recounts a story claiming that Userkaf, Sahure, and Neferirkare were brothers, and that they were the sons of the god Ra and a woman named Redjedet. The tale predicts that the lineage of King Khufu from the 4th dynasty would end at the hands of these 3 brothers, born of the god Ra. This mythological narrative, portraying the early kings of the 5th dynasty as direct sons of the god Ra and a non-royal woman, serves as a foundational myth for the dynasty's legitimacy. If the 5th dynasty pharaohs indeed came from partially non-royal origins or faced a delicate financial and political situation, this myth was a powerful tool to establish their divine lineage and authority. Kings thought to prove their good intentions as gods on earth, and almost all 5th dynasty kings adopted royal names that linked their power directly to Ra, testifying to their special connection with the sun god. Neferirkare's name itself means, "Beautiful is the soul of Ra." This illustrates the strategic use of religious narratives to bolster royal power and justify dynastic shifts in ancient Egypt, providing a divine foundation for their rule during a period of change.
Many theories have emerged regarding the true purpose of pyramid construction in ancient Egypt, and this isn't limited to Neferirkare's pyramid. Many believe the primary function of the pyramid was as a tomb for Pharaoh Neferirkare, reflecting the deeply rooted ancient Egyptian belief in the afterlife and the necessity of providing a secure resting place for the deceased king's journey to the underworld. Beyond this funerary function, some theories suggest that pyramids may have served as astronomical observatories. This proposal is based on observations of many pyramids' alignment with specific celestial bodies, which might indicate their role in astronomical rituals or calendar determination. For example, the lower passages in pyramids were often aligned towards the North Star, as ancient Egyptians believed the pharaoh would join the god Ra in the heavens. Others propose that the pyramid's purpose was primarily to display the power and grandeur of Pharaoh Neferirkare and his state. The immense size of the pyramid and its dominant position at the highest point in Abusir served as an unmistakable visual statement of the king's divine authority and the state's capacity to mobilize resources and manpower for such colossal projects. These proposed purposes for pyramids, tomb, astronomical observatory, symbol of power, are not mutually exclusive. Rather, they are multiple and integrated aspects of ancient Egyptian beliefs and royal ideology. The primary function as a tomb for the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife was intertwined with astronomical alignments that facilitated this journey, and with the grand display of power necessary to assert divine kingship. This suggests a holistic worldview where religious, scientific, and political ambitions were seamlessly integrated into the architectural structure of the pyramid itself. The pyramid was not merely a building, but a physical manifestation of a complex system of beliefs and values that governed ancient Egyptian society.
Egyptian pyramids, including Neferirkare's, transcended their original function to become the subject of numerous myths and folk tales across centuries, especially after the end of the Pharaonic era. These later stories, which often differ from original ancient Egyptian myths like the Westcar Papyrus, reflect the cultural reinterpretation of these colossal structures by different civilizations and belief systems. Among the most famous of these myths in medieval Europe was the belief that the pyramids were grain silos built by Joseph, as mentioned in the book of Genesis. This Christian interpretation connected the pyramids to a familiar biblical narrative, giving them new meaning within a different religious framework. In the Arab world, after the Islamic conquest of Egypt in the 7th century CE, the pyramids became a source of even more imaginative stories. Legends spread that the pyramids were built to hide immense treasures or to preserve knowledge and sciences from a great flood. These treasure myths persisted, even finding their way into the tales of 1001 Nights, giving them a legendary and popular character. Some stories also recount that Caliph al-Ma'mun, son of Harun al-Rashid, was the first to break into the Great Pyramid around 820 CE, searching for these treasures and knowledge.
The evolution of these myths and folklore surrounding the pyramids, from ancient Egyptian religious narratives to later Judeo-Christian and Arab legends, illustrates the continuous cultural reinterpretation of these colossal structures across different historical periods and belief systems. This shows how enduring symbols like the pyramids transcend their original purpose, becoming canvases for new narratives that reflect the values, concerns, and aspirations of subsequent civilizations. Each new cultural lens through which the pyramids were viewed, whether biblical, Islamic, or folkloric, projected onto them its own anxieties, like the flood, aspirations, like hidden knowledge, or desires, like treasures, transforming historical monuments into living, evolving narratives that reveal more about the interpreters than they do about the original builders.
The incomplete polished exterior casing of Neferirkare's pyramid is one of the primary reasons for its current ruined state. The pyramid was supposed to be covered with a layer of polished red granite, but the king's premature death halted the project before this crucial phase was completed. This lack of casing left the pyramid's core structure exposed to the elements and human activity throughout the centuries. The incomplete exterior casing is a key factor in the pyramid's deterioration, acting as a domino effect for subsequent decay. The absence of this protective layer exposed the less precisely cut core blocks to weathering elements like wind, sand, and occasional rain, making them more susceptible to natural erosion. This exposure also facilitated stone quarrying by plunderers. This highlights a critical vulnerability in ancient Egyptian monumental construction, the reliance on a completed protective outer layer for long-term structural preservation. Its absence led to the pyramid's deterioration, but simultaneously provides a unique, albeit unfortunate, glimpse into the pyramid's unfinished construction techniques.
Stone robbing and reuse throughout the ages represent a significant and long-term human factor in the destruction of Neferirkare's pyramid. The burial chambers and antechamber within the pyramid were heavily plundered by robbers, with many stone blocks removed for reuse in other constructions. It's believed that this process wasn't merely isolated incidents, but a systematic operation that continued for centuries, starting from the New Kingdom. This points to a historical pattern of resource extraction from ancient monuments, where the pyramid transitioned from a royal tomb to a stone quarry. This human-induced deterioration, alongside natural factors, underscores the vulnerability of even the grandest structures to the changing needs and priorities of subsequent civilizations. The demand for easily accessible building materials, especially during periods of declining prosperity or when construction priorities shifted, led later populations to utilize ancient pyramids as ready sources of stone. This explains why Neferirkare's pyramid, despite its initial ambition, became a shadow of its former great self, not only due to time, but also due to the human hands that reshaped these monuments to meet their needs.
While some general theories about pyramid collapse point to geological factors like uneven soil or construction on sand instead of bedrock, the specific case of Neferirkare's pyramid differs. This pyramid was built on the highest point in Abusir, or on a raised mound. This elevated location, presumably more geologically stable, reduces the likelihood that underlying geological issues were the primary cause of its destruction. Thus, the deterioration of Neferirkare's pyramid is attributed less to foundational issues and more to the combined effects of its incomplete state, lack of exterior casing, and subsequent human intervention, stone robbing. This distinction refines our understanding of this monument's specific vulnerabilities, emphasizing the crucial role of human agency and construction choices on a site's inherent stability. While natural factors always play a role in the erosion of monuments, human decisions and actions often prove to be the more impactful agents in the long-term preservation or destruction of colossal archaeological structures.
Neferirkare's pyramid is currently in a ruined state, making it less impressive today compared to its former grandeur.
Despite its deterioration, the pyramid still dominates its surroundings thanks to its strategic location on a high mound. This elevated position grants it visual prominence even in its current condition. The Abusir pyramids in general are considered a shadow of their former great selves, showing signs of deterioration due to their lower construction quality compared to the pyramids of Giza and Saqqara, in addition to the effects of time and looting. Among the Abusir pyramids, Niuserre-Ini's pyramid is one of the few that remains in relatively good and better preserved condition. This comparison highlights the different challenges faced by the Abusir pyramids and confirms that Neferirkare's pyramid, despite its status as the tallest pyramid in the necropolis, suffered particularly due to its unfinished construction and subsequent looting.
In conclusion, everyone, Neferirkare's pyramid, despite its incomplete state and ruined appearance, serves as a crucial archaeological history book for understanding the complex transformations within the Old Kingdom. It represents a symbol of transition, linking the massive achievements of early pharaohs with the more spiritually focused structures of the later Old Kingdom. The pyramid reveals the shifts in construction priorities, from an emphasis on sheer size to a focus on elaborate funerary complexes and complex cult administration. The architectural compromises evident in the pyramid, the immense wealth of administrative papyri found within its complex, and the evolving religious narratives surrounding its builder all illustrate a period of dynamic adaptation in Egyptian kingship. This pyramid isn't just a monument, it's a living archive of a pivotal historical moment. It bears witness to a shift in ideological focus, from pure material display to a more nuanced integration of religious ideology, bureaucratic efficiency, and symbolic representation. The enduring legacy of Neferirkare's pyramid lies precisely in its imperfections and the rich, multi-layered data it provides. Unlike perfectly preserved monuments that might obscure the challenges of their construction or their administrative complexities, Neferirkare's pyramid, in its ruined but highly informative state, offers an unparalleled window into the practical, economic, religious, and political dynamics of the Fifth Dynasty. It's a testament to adaptation in the face of constraints, a shift in ideological focus, and the bureaucratic machinery that supported divine kingship. This makes it a deeper source of historical understanding than some of its outwardly more impressive predecessors.
The study of Neferirkare's pyramid and its complex is still ongoing, and every new discovery opens a fresh chapter in the book of the past. Despite extensive research conducted on the pyramid, its true purpose and the stories it holds still await full discovery. The continuous nature of discoveries at Abusir, which includes the work of Czech archaeological missions, affirms that Egyptology is a constantly evolving field. This means that our current understanding, however comprehensive, is provisional and subject to future revisions based on new archaeological finds and developing interpretive methodologies. The journey of discovery itself is an essential part of the pyramid's enduring legacy, emphasizing the dynamic and incomplete nature of historical knowledge. The pyramid's ability to reveal new information after centuries of study highlights the immense depth of ancient Egyptian civilization and the current limitations of archaeological methods. This means the pyramid is not merely a static relic, but a dynamic source of knowledge, constantly challenging and refining our understanding of the Old Kingdom.